Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. In this video, we're going to quickly adjust this grain line to start off the video, and then we'll be heading off to Albuquerque and some other areas of the map to quickly fix up and change a few things that I've noticed over the last couple of videos. So again, to start off this video, we'll be checking out our grain line, which is right over here, and we just want to adjust this ever so slightly so we can get our rate up to 1200. We did recently add passing tracks by the cargo hub, so that might have changed our numbers a little bit. And if we take a look here, this train station is connected to 3 farms, so that means we need to be carrying a total of 1200 for our rate. So this should just be as simple as editing these trains, and we'll just add 1 car to the end of each. So we'll find these gondola cars, and I believe that added, and we'll modify these. That brings us up to just under 1200, so let's add 1 more. So there we go, adding 2 more cars to each one of these trains gets our rate up to about 1250, which for these 3 farms should be just fine. And over to our food processing plant, we should now be able to get this production number all the way up to 800, as long as our truck line is also at the proper rate. So this is also at a rate of 395, which we'll add 1 truck because I'd rather be just over than just under. And double checking our trucks here, these are also at 829, so this should work out, and we should see this move all the way up to 800 then. And so I wanted to come back to Albuquerque because we've been doing a lot of work here recently, and we have our train station, which is kind of in this area, and it's pretty out of the way of the city. And in order to fully maximize our train station here, I think we should move it to somewhere over here, not too far away, but a lot closer to these buildings, where it'll be able to catch a lot more people than having to rely on our buses filling up and bringing those people out here. So doing this shouldn't really require too much destruction. I think maybe we'll square off this road to come back to this intersection here, and then we can just have our tracks come out this way, or depending on how long the station is, we can even turn it earlier. We'll just have to see how that goes. So we'll pause and we'll delete this train station. We'll have to delete our collision tile that used to be here, and then we'll simply erase all of this with the asset tool. We'll erase all the terrain work that we did, and then we'll just smooth it over so the city can get back to building in this area. And then as for this area, again, we'll delete this. This will get rid of a good amount of big buildings in this area, but I think once they grow back, it'll be well worth it. And so we'll bring this over just like that. We can then connect this road back to where it was. So we'll build this right about here, and then that pretty much gives us this whole plot, and even this one probably to fit a train station in. So if we take a look at our train stations, we'll go with a similar terminus station, and we'll want 240 meters since a lot of our trains are getting pretty long, and then we'll just have to align it with this road. So we will have to delete these roads, which kind of stinks because we are starting to get rid of some of this more medium density buildings, which are probably pretty vital for the city, but getting this train station in here is probably a little bit more important than those buildings at the moment. And so we'll get this placed down right about here, and that should automatically change stations, which we can see it does. And hopefully, if we did this correctly, it looks like we might need a little bit more space because we want to be able to fit buildings, or at least small buildings, along this side of the station. Alright, and so now we can see we can get these small buildings. We can even, well, it says we can get medium buildings along here. I'm not exactly sure if that's accurate, but we can at least get the small buildings along here, and we'll get to that eventually, but let's get this road placed back in. And so now that we have this road placed back in, let's worry about our tracks. And so I think we're pretty much gonna have to delete this all the way back to the other side of the bridge, and we'll have to realign how we're having our bridge come in here. And so now that we're here, I think we'll come off of the station first. So we'll probably just turn as sharp as we can, much similar to how we did before, and get ourselves lined up properly. Alright, so now we have our tracks set up coming out of this area. We can pretty much just drag this across the river. It looks like we'll get a little bit of a bend. I think that's okay. We might actually bring this back just a bit more so we don't have the tracks rising up, so we can get a nice even slope when we connect these across. But we'll keep the same bridge pretty much, and we'll raise it just enough to get a boat under it if we ever need to, although this is on the edge of the map, so we might not ever need to do that anyway. And so here we finally get high enough to where we can get a boat under, so we'll just drag these tracks across. And so here's our new bridge into the city of Albuquerque. Hopefully these road crossings don't cause us issues, but this is a pretty non-important area of the city, so hopefully traffic won't build up when trains come and go. So then all we should have to do is replace our signals. So we'll get a set of signals right before the bridge, and then a set of signals right after the bridge. And then if we hit play, our trains should go back to how they were. Now there's plenty more we can do here. First of all, I think we want to get probably a small main building all the way down on this end. I think we'll want to, well, I guess we have to upgrade these tracks, it seems. So those tracks are now high-speed tracks, but we'll get some of these side buildings, or maybe we'll delete these. We'll get a side building here, the small one, and then another side building. And then we'll do something similar down on this end. And this is all really just to build more connections to the city to improve our reach, as well as improving our capacity, since we don't really have space to add these super large buildings in here. I suppose we might be able to fit them in over on this side, which we will come through and redo this road so we can at least get something here. Not sure what that will be yet, but I think maybe we will try the large main building, and then maybe these medium side buildings like this. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that. Let's get the road back in first and see how that feels. Alright, so we'll keep this, and I think we will delete this one on the end. We really don't need it, I suppose, and I think this still covers everything. We just have to redo this road connection, and then our train station should now be connected to our bus station. And I think really all it is now is we'll make this area look nice, and we can move on from this area. And so between these two small end stations, I think we will just add a nice line of trees. So we'll grab these trees and space them out as evenly as we can right along this part. And then we'll come through and pave it all to be asphalt, and this will be sort of a plaza-ish area. Alright, and so I think that'll be this area. Nothing too big and fancy here. I did just notice that I think our building here is slightly off-center. So let's just go through and we'll adjust these buildings to get them to be centered. And now that we have that, we'll adjust these, and then I really don't think there's much more to do here. I think we'll leave it like this and let the buildings fill out these areas. Alright, so with that done, we can let this play now, and we already have our first train stopping in here to pick up some people. And so taking a look at this station now that it's finished, you can just see the reach that we now have with just the train station alone. We get all the way up to here, all the way up to these big buildings here, and maybe a couple of these over this way. So our coverage is much better with this train station now, and we just have to wait and see how well it works. And the final thing that we'll do here before we finally finish up with Albuquerque is we'll add bus lanes in here, just because some of our buses are starting to cause some backup on our streets here, and we definitely don't want that. So we'll add that in. We'll fix up this area because we can't, for some reason, get a road with bus lanes in here. Alright, and so now that this area is fixed, we are now done with Albuquerque. Alright, so checking out some other cities on our map, Downey is actually looking pretty good. We do have some traffic here, but it seems to be sort of coming and going as the traffic lights work, so I'm not too concerned about it yet. One thing I am noticing is all these buildings building on our highway, which is not what we want, so we might have to protect this with a collision tile so these don't get built all up and down the highway and mess up the look of the city. So we'll just have to grab one of these. We'll get it to be about the right size. We don't want it to go too far off to each end of the highway because we do want the city to be able to grow around it, but we definitely don't want the city building on it. So we'll just place a couple of these down every now and then, making sure they align with the highway. Alright, so we pretty much have our highway protected between these two intersections, which is probably all that we need for now. If the city ever does grow across the highway, though, we will have to put in our own bridges because I think the collision tiles blocks the city from building anything above them, as long as it's within the height limit that we set. But so if buildings start popping up over here, we might add another road connection over here, just so that the city can still grow, but it leaves the highway alone. Alright, now flying around the map, just sort of checking up on our cities, I noticed that here in Jackson, we're starting to get a good amount of people waiting for Santa Clarita again, and that demand is reciprocated in Santa Clarita with this overloaded station. And I think these trains are doing fine. They're actually making us a very good profit, and you can even see compared to when we first adjusted them. So really, I think it's just a matter of getting a few more trains on here. We'll go with one more. The only thing that I get worried about is how few signals we have on this line, and also the availability of tracks here in Jackson. So again, I think at some point we're going to need to get this last set of tracks involved here in Jackson, but we'll save that project for when we have a whole video to work on that. So now to end off this video, I want to focus our attention in Montgomery, as we haven't really done much with this city really across the whole series, besides like the airport, adding this train station, and maybe involving a little bit of this goods industry here. But for the most part, this city's been pretty self-sufficient for most of the series. We've had hardly any issues, but I think finally its time has come, as if we check our traffic layer, this road situation is quite a mess at the moment, And taking a look here, we have a whole line of cars trying to get out of the city. If we zoom in here. And all of these, if we put on our destinations layer, seems to want to go to Santa Clarita. So we'll have to think about how we're going to connect these two cities by a passenger connection in a way that gets some of these people off of the roads. But I think first we'll focus internally on Montgomery, and then we'll focus on the connections that it needs. So the most obvious thing is the road network is a complete mess, besides Center City where it's a nice grid, but you can see that starts to break down simply due to this cliff face that we have that's creating a whole bunch of issues for traffic here. And so I think what needs to happen is we need to connect this road here to this road here in one single road that doesn't sort of zigzag through the city. So we'll probably need to destroy a little bit of the roads in this area so we can connect it to this road, and then we'll simply upgrade this one to be a 4-lane road all the way through to where it connects to here. Then once we do that, we will simplify a lot of these road intersections so we won't have so many intersections along this stretch of road. So we'll pause since we're doing quite a bit of work here, and first we'll downgrade this road back to 2 lanes. We'll delete this segment of road, and then this is where we're going to work our way over to this road here. And so we've cleared out this stretch of the city to get a road connection in here. I wish we could delete smaller sections of roads. We didn't have to clear out such a large portion of the city, but I guess it's what we have to do. So then we can bring this around like so, and we'll try to keep it on ground level, so we'll fill this in with dirt and smooth it out later. We can bring this around like that and then connect it to there. So then we'll come back with our terrain tools and we'll smooth all this out so that we can get some easier road connections in here. So now that we have that in, we can come back in with our roads. Hopefully adding these connections in won't be too hard. Alright, so I think this road layout works out pretty well for what it is. So we just have to lock this road so we don't get a bunch of unnecessary intersections. Then we can come through with our 4-lane road and keep pushing through the city to where we get to this point where I think we finally have to say goodbye to this little parking lot area that we had. It lasted quite a while, but really it serves almost no need at this point in the city. Even if it was functional, it wasn't even that big. So we'll get rid of all that. We will keep the road and the road connection here, but then we can just keep pushing through, although I'm not sure what's stopping this. So now we can keep going and push through all the way until we meet up with our other 4-lane road right about here. And now really it's just a matter of cleanup. And so we have our main road through here, and it just gets really messy in this whole low density area of the city. So let's come through, we'll delete some of these roads, we'll come back through and clean them up like so. We might have to curve this road just like this. Then we'll get rid of this road connection. This can all get simplified a little bit more. So I think we'll make a road connection here. This road doesn't need to be here. This road can stay, but we will move it to a little bit more of a central area on this road. And then for the most part, I think that cleans up a lot of this area. I think we'll fix this a little bit here because that didn't quite make sense. And then we'll do the same thing. We will lock this road pretty much all the way through the city so we don't get any extra intersections popping up through here. And so now that we have that, we should be able to press play and things will start to pop back into normal. It looks like down here things got a little weird too, so we'll delete this road. I guess we'll lock this road pretty much all the way down as well. And so we'll leave the city to fill out this whole area. We might just prune back some of these roads so we get something that's a little more realistic. Hopefully the city doesn't go crazy down here again. And while we're here taking a look at this goods factory, it seems like we have a good amount of goods waiting to go into Montgomery. So if we take a look at our consumers here, it looks like this is shipping at a rate of 51 into Montgomery. And our Montgomery goods line is at about that rate, but I think these trucks are a little old for what we want. We might go with some other small trucks like this Urban E truck. So we'll go with that, and that improves our rate by quite a bit. So we'll sell 4 of these vehicles, see where that gets us. That gets us to 96. Maybe we'll sell 2 more. And that gets us back to 58-ish. So hopefully that'll work out much better now. We will keep an eye on it to make sure that that truck station is getting emptied out. But I think we're starting to get on a good path here. And then just some minor things that I'm noticing here. So this truck stop can probably move over a little bit so that it doesn't block our main road as it comes through here. And then it looks like this road here is a very important road coming in and out of the city, so I think we'll also upgrade that one. But we'll only do it once we reach the city itself. So this will all get upgraded to 4 lanes all the way until here. And now that makes me tempted to upgrade this to a 6-lane road, but taking a look at our destinations layer, this road isn't getting as much traffic as we think, so maybe we'll leave it and sort of see what happens with our traffic flow, because I am more worried about this road connection here and getting cars moving in and out on that road. And so after letting this run for a little bit, our traffic is a little bit better. We have some issues going on here, but I think that's just because of all the people that were coming in and out of the city, and I think we now have an issue here with this intersection and these buses and everything. I think we'll turn off the traffic light, and that will help for this intersection, because this isn't really an intersection that I would think needs a traffic light, since one of the connections is really just a bus connection. So I think maybe when we take a deeper look at all this, we will redo this area. We do have a bunch of space here, and maybe we could figure something out that works a little bit better than whatever this is. Now, for some reason, it does seem like this traffic is starting to go down, and I'm not really sure where that's coming from or what's causing that. But if we take a look at our destinations layer, most of that is definitely heading into Santa Clarita. And interestingly enough, we have quite a few connections between those two cities. So we have this main one right here, that's the deep blue one. And then we have this one that runs by our chemical plant. That one connects up, and that one we can see has a good bit of demand, not too much really. And then we have this one road that we built a while ago. It's sort of like our coastal cliff highway. And that also connects up to Santa Clarita. So if we can get more cars to take this road, that would help split the demand among the city. However, I'm not too sure how we could do that without really changing this road, which I don't necessarily want to do, because we did put a lot of time and effort into this portion of it, and I think it's really nice. One thing that we can do, however, is improve the connection into Santa Clarita by this road. So I think that will involve pretty much helping the city out by connecting to this segment here. And so we can come through with our city streets and extend some of these roads. So we'll bring that straight out, connect it there. This one we'll have come straight out and we'll connect it there. So then we'll delete those ends. And then here's where we probably want to optimize getting into the city a bit more. So from here we can turn this into a four-way intersection and bring it straight in like this. And then maybe it comes across here. I'm not too sure, but the shorter we can make the distance to getting into Santa Clarita, the more people will want to use this road. And then one more thing that we can do that might help out more with prioritizing this route is to change the way that this road is prioritized. So actually I think we can delete this road back a good bit and have this turn into a four-way intersection. So we can pull that all the way back to there, pull that to there, come in, grab our country road, connect it to their respective intersections, and I think this will help optimize the path for both our trucks and the private transportation along this route as well. And so we can now see a few more cars starting to take this road between Santa Clarita and Montgomery. It's obviously not enough to fully clear this out, but it will help. So I think we're pretty much reaching the end of what we'll be able to do in this video, but next episode we'll focus on getting that passenger connection between Montgomery and Santa Clarita. Thinking about what that's going to be is a little tough, as it could be either by train or by bus, and there's pros and cons to both of those. If we go by train, we'd probably have to split off of this track somewhere, and then we have quite a good amount of elevation to climb to match our existing passenger tracks over here. And then if we go with bus, we will obviously be competing with the private transportation, so we'll just have to make sure that our buses are able to take enough of that private transportation off of the road so that people choose the bus instead of their own cars. And so with that, I think that's going to be all for this video. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.